Hi, art students. Welcome to this week's art lesson. I have been excited to do this lesson ever since I made the plan of which lessons to do during this quarantine time when we would just be doing virtual lessons. And I thought, I want to teach a Tuscan landscape. And then as I was planning out what to do on which weeks, and I thought I'd save this for when we just had one lesson for the whole week. Anyway, I taught it yesterday to my daughter, and I will show you her. She did a great job. You guys know my daughter. Some of you know my daughter, Finley. She's 9. So I'm excited to teach you this lesson today and to see how all of your landscapes turn out. So a little background. This is called a Tuscan landscape. It's kind of inspired by the landscapes of a region of Italy called Tuscany. And so if you look up, with your parents' help, you could look up Tuscany in Italy, and it's the part of Italy where Florence is. And if you learn about art history, you will know that a lot of great classic art and architecture originated in Florence, and so a lot of it is still there. It is definitely one of the hubs of great art in the world, and the landscapes around it are also beautiful. And so that's what this art is going to be inspired by. We're going to have probably a little more color in our landscapes, if you want to have more color than what you might see there. But there's a lot of color there too. You'll see different shades of green, different shades of yellows and browns and oranges and even reds when you look at landscapes in that region of the world. Okay, so what you need to have for this lesson is a half sheet of paper. So I'm going to move some of our pictures, some of the ones I've done out of the way. A half sheet of paper, and we're going to have it turned portrait style. So it's the long sides are on the sides, short sides are up and down. So portrait style. And then what you also need is crayons. So plenty of crayons and or colored pencils. So I know everyone has different sets of different things, and so I want you to know whatever you have, you can make work. So this one I actually used markers on. So I know some of you may not have as many colored pencils or as many crayons. Maybe you have more markers. You can use markers and have a really nice landscape turn out. I don't prefer markers for this. They're a little harder to blend with, but they can work. One thing I would like you to have, if you have a white colored pencil, we're going to be using that. If you don't have a white colored pencil, I'd like you to have a white crayon. Colored pencil is preferred, but a crayon can work. So to start this lesson, I'm going to go ahead and get down my seat so we can start. To start this lesson, what you're going to do is you're going to look at your paper, and you're going to kind of imagine that it's divided into 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. And so about 1/4 of the way up, we're going to draw, it's not really our horizon line. If you look at this landscape, it's almost like we have lots of horizons because they're hills, and the hills are rolling. If you've ever hiked here in Washington and gotten up very high, sometimes you can look out and see layers of mountains, the way we see layers of these rolling hills here. And so each little layer of a hill kind of makes its own vanishing point. So we all know from other projects we've done what a vanishing point is. And so we're going to be working with almost like several vanishing points in this work of art. So about 1/4 of the way up, you don't need to use a ruler, just eyeball it. You're going to make kind of your first big hill. Okay, and it doesn't need to be perfectly symmetrical or anything. You're going to just make a nice hill. And then from there, you're going to build some more hills on. What's important here is when you build these hills on, that you don't do them in a way that they look, I'll kind of show you on here. You don't want it to look like it's symmetrical, because in real life with hills, so this is what I don't want. I don't want it to go like, I'm going to have my hill here, and then we're going to build hills on. I don't want it to be like I'm drawing fish scales. Okay? Where I'm doing middle, middle, side, side. I don't want it to be like that. I want it to be more random. So I'm going to do maybe a hill that comes off like this, and then maybe I'll do a hill that comes over here and it's a little bit lower. I want it to be kind of more random, and then this one might come over here, and then maybe we'll have one that comes like this, and we'll have one that comes like that, and we're gonna have a few more hills that come off, and then near the top we're gonna leave some sky, but I'm gonna put a little mountain range, or a little, maybe more of a steep hill range here. I'm gonna have it go like this, okay? So I have this big hill that's kind of in my foreground, and then all these other ones that reach back toward this mountain, kind of mountainous or kind of steeper hill range in the background. And again, you want to make sure these are random and not, there isn't like a pattern to them. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we're going to add some trees. So in Italy, they have a couple of common trees. One of them is the Italian cypress. And here in Washington, we actually see these used a lot in landscaping, or we see versions of these trees. So if you look at the pictures I have here, these Italian cypress, have you seen trees like this, maybe as a border along people's yards? So, and here's another picture. Sometimes they don't always have to be brown, or big green. That one looks like maybe it died, but it's still kind of pretty because it adds different color. So we're going to do some cypress trees, and I'm going to do them, and you kind of draw them like you're drawing a big, like almost like a unshucked piece of corn. So I'm going to draw them, and they're going to go straight up. Now remember, we've done landscapes before. You don't want your trees to be perpendicular to your hill. You want it to be perpendicular to the base of your page. So they're going to reach straight up for the sky. And I'm going to have a few of these cypress trees. And then once I get them drawn, because they're right here in the foreground, I'm going to erase the hills that they would be covering up behind them. I have these nice cypress trees here on this hill. They're pretty tall. Maybe I guess they're okay. There's going to be extra tall ones. And then I'm going to do some smaller ones as we get further away. So this is still kind of our foreground, but as we get further away, they're going to get smaller pretty quick. So I'm going to come here and have a few, and they're going to be a lot smaller, because they're off in the distance. And then if I have some back here, they're going to be maybe even a little smaller than that. They're going to be tiny. So I'll put a few little ones here. Okay, so I have a few little cypress trees that I've drawn. And then another kind of tree they have, it's a, I forgot what it's called, but it's an Italian tree that kind of has a canopy. So a way to draw that is you draw kind of like a little circle, and you just draw a little trunk. So you can draw a few of these Italian trees that have little canopies back here, really skinny little trunks. And you can do a couple back here that are tiny against the mountains. Maybe I'll do 3 right there. So I have a few trees now, and a few, some of my cypress are kind of messy looking. Okay. So once you have your trees done, the next thing you're going to do, now if you're not keeping up with me, that's okay. Just, you can put your pencil down. I don't expect you to draw this alongside me, or you can pause it if you're watching this later. You can come back and look at it. The next thing we're going to do is draw our, some of our hills have farmland on them. They're going to have some crops. And so to draw those crops, we're not going to do it on all of them, but we're going to do it on some. This first one, we're going to have it like we're looking straight down. And so in the past, when we have like a vanishing point, everything goes to that vanishing point. But with a hill, the vanishing point is almost beyond the hill. Like we know the hill keeps going on the other side, and these crops keep going on the other side. So they're not all going to end at that point. We're going to have them head toward that point, but it's almost like when you made, for those of you who have done your project with your sun and your moon, when you did those sun rays and they came out from the sun, do you remember that? They got bigger as they moved away. So we're going to have them be small, close together here, and as they move towards the bottom of the page, they get bigger, because as they get closer to us, they will appear larger. So this is my first crop. So we're not going to do anything else to that right now. We're going to be doing something more. I'll show you so you kind of know what's coming. Do you see how these crops actually look like they're kind of standing up off of the ground? And I'll show you how to make that happen later. But for now, we're just going to have the lines there. Okay, now let's do, these are the vertical crops. We're going to do a couple more vertical crops. And so I'm going to do some on this hill. And again, we're going to start with a line that comes down. But what's important on these hills is that your lines kind of curve with the hill. So they're still going to get bigger as they come down. But as they come around, it's like you're drawing, oops, that one isn't. See, that's actually what you don't want to do. This is easy to do. Does that get bigger as it goes down? No. So I need it to get bigger. It starts small, and then it gets bigger. And you need to kind of watch the curvature of the hill. I'm actually going to change that a little bit. The curvature of your hill to, you see here, it's going to get bigger, and it kind of curves with the hill. I'm going to redo a couple of those. Okay, there we go. And so I'll show you on another one. We'll do this one right here. So do you see how this definitely has a curve to it? It's a hill. So it's like if we were to draw a ball, let's get this paper here again. This is my scratch paper. If I were to draw a ball, if I want this ball to look round, it's going to look more round if I draw lines on it that follow the curve of the ball, rather than if I were to draw a ball and just do straight lines. This looks like a piece of pizza cut into strips, but this one looks like it actually is round just by having those curved lines. So on our hills, we want our hills to look round. So I'm going to start with a kind of a curved line from the top that comes down like that. Then I'm going to draw another one, and it's going to come down, but it's going to get slightly bigger as it comes down. I'm going to do another one, it gets slightly bigger. This one's going a little bit better for showing you what I mean here. And then we're going to have this come around and get... So then it looks like it's a round hill, and those rows of crops are getting smaller. They're not actually getting smaller, but because they're moving away from us, they're going into the distance. And then we're going to do a couple of hills. I'll do two hills that have stripes going horizontally. And these are a little bit easier because you're just going to do parallel lines that follow the curve of the top of your hill. And then as you move toward the bottom of the hill, they're going to get slightly further apart because they're getting closer to us. And I will do that maybe to one more hill. I'll do it to this one. Behind these trees, we'll do that. Okay, I have my hills drawn. That's your first step, your big hill and then all the other mounds. And then your mountains back here. Then I drew my trees. Oh, we forgot something, sheep. Now, if you would like to put some sheep on a field, I think that's kind of fun to do. So we need to draw our sheep. Okay, so for the sheep, it's really easy. I'm going to have my sheep in this field. You're going to draw little ovals like this. They're kind of look like little potatoes. The shape of like a baked potato. We're going to draw a few of those. And as they move away from you, they're going to get a little bit smaller. As they're closer to you, they'll be a little bit bigger, just slightly. So it's like you're drawing these little beans, little potato-shaped ovals. And that's all we're going to do right now for our sheep. We'll do the rest of it with our crayons and pencils later. Okay, so if you have any lines you need to erase behind any of your trees, do that. And we are ready for color. So the first thing we're going to color is we're going to color our trees. We're going to get those done. So the order of things is trees, sheep, and then we'll start at the top and we'll move down the page with the rest of it. So the first thing with the trees, so I'm just like we did last week, where you chose a few tones of the same color. So if I'm if I want my trees to be green, I'm going to choose, we learned last week that we have in our crayon box, you have regular green, you have yellow green, and you have the green yellow. And then over here in my colored pencil box, I have a few other greens also that we can play around with. Okay, so I'm going to start with just the crayons, and I'm going to, oh, this is an important thing we haven't talked about. We need a light source. So we've talked about light source in our classes before. So let's look here. Let's look at the this. Where is the sun in this picture? Would the sun be up here in the sky, over here, or over here? So if you look at all these trees, light is hitting on this side. If you look at all of the crops, shadows are on the left side, and the trees, the shadows are on the left side. So the sun must be up in the right side of the sky. So knowing that, so I'm going to do that again on here because it just makes it easier. You can try to play around with it, or you can just copy me. I'd like you just to practice knowing where your sun is. So I'm going to actually, just to help you remember, you don't need to draw this on your page to leave it. I'm going to put a little sun in pencil here that I'm going to erase later to help us remember the sun is right here. Light source is coming from here. So knowing that, and the light source is coming from here. Now it's good to remember the world is huge. And so that doesn't mean that like the sun is literally right there in the sky and that anything right here is going to have the sun hit it differently. Really, this whole area of the earth is going to have the sun hitting it the same, because when it comes to the size of the earth, I explained this to my daughter because she's like, oh, the sun is actually not exactly hitting, this field the same way that's hitting this field. Well, it's not literally that the sun is right there. It's that directionally, generally, the sun is coming from this area. Hope this makes sense. So everything in your picture is going to have the sun hitting it generally the same way, because when it comes to the size of the earth, this is a little tiny space, and the sun is huge and the earth is huge. So knowing the sun is coming from here, when we're coloring our trees, we're going to start with the darker of our colors on one side of the tree. And I'm going to have, So if you want to have a little more like shape to your trees, you see here I did a little more shape, then and we're going to want to have a black handy. I'm going to do a black colored pencil or a really dark colored pencil. I also have enjoyed having a scratch sheet along so I can test. So I'm going to take this dark pencil, and if you want to have a little more just design drawing to your trees, you can do that here. And the way cypress trees grow is they grow with their fronds pointing up to the sky, and they're kind of choppy. And you may even have some fronds that kind of stick out like that. They kind of are choppy like this, and they sometimes go a little awry. And so we're going to have, I'll do a little more detail on these just for fun. So have a little bit of detail with our pencil there, and then I'm going to color one side with the darker of my greens. And then the other side is going to be with the light, not the really light, but this one step down light of the green. And then I'm going to actually take a white pencil, and I'm going to light, well, it kind of lightens it up. See how it kind of lightens that up a little bit? So if you get something, I mean, that's a little darker than I had originally wanted, so I just take my white pencil and lighten it up. I'm going to be using white pencil or white crayon quite a bit. Okay, so I have my trees there. I'm going to make this tree a little more big because I need to match the other ones a little bit better. Just personal preference. Add a little bit more green. Okay, I have those cypress that are in the foreground are done. Then let's do our other ones. And I'll do these. Oh, and we want to give it a good shadow on this side. So I'm going to color it in a little bit more with my dark. So you can do this with a dark crayon or a dark colored pencil. Okay, and the next thing also is these might have a little bit of shadow that come off of them. So I'm going to do that too. That shadow hitting, they're going to go like this, and they're going to have that little bit of shadow that comes off. Pointing, so if your sun is here, light here, shadow there. And then we're going to do that here with these guys. I'm going to do a dark line down one side of each of my cypress trees. I'm going to do it onto all of these guys. All the dark, and then the dark side, kind of the bottom of them too, of my little canopy trees that I forgot the name of. And then do some little green of the darker green. And if you have other colors of green, you might enjoy using them. I'll grab a green colored pencil to make these little guys up here. I'll use a little different color green on. Let's see what I have. Yeah, that's kind of a fun green. And then we'll do a little bit of that lighter green on one side of these guys. Okay. And then if you want to add any little details, you make them, these ones that are closer up especially, you may not see details. You wouldn't probably see details in the ones that are further away. Okay. And then let's give them some little shadows that come off. These guys are going to have little shadows as well. And these guys will have some shadows that come underneath. Okay. So our tree, oh, I have these little guys in the back. So get all your trees done. Let's get these, I forgot my tiny ones. But they'll still stand out and be cute. And we'll give them this green. It's a good chance to try out different colored pencils, whatever you have. And we'll do a little bit of shadow on those. Okay, we have trees done. Look at that. It's already starting to look like a landscape that's going to be interesting to look at. Okay, next let's do our sheep. Now for your sheep, I prefer you to use a white crayon because later we're going to color over this hill, and we've learned from other projects that white is a really good way to repel, white crayon, to repel other mediums. So we're going to color inside each of these sheep white with a white crayon. Then I want you to take a black or dark gray pencil. Mine's dark gray. I have a black somewhere. Oh, here it is. Maybe I'll do black. And then you're going to give each of your sheep a head. And make sure the sheep aren't all pointed the same direction. It's going to look more real if you put their heads going in different. I'm going to stick with my gray. I like how it works better. So I'm going to have some of my sheep looking one direction, some of them looking the other direction. We're just giving them little dot heads. Okay. And then for their legs, you can just do tiny little legs, almost like you're drawing like a little bug. And you're barely going to see the legs, but you are going to see a shadow. And the shadow is going to be just like these tree shadows. It's going to be slightly on their left, no matter which way they're standing. So don't get used to drawing the shadow under their head every time, because sometimes that shadow is going to be more under their tail. Okay, so suddenly they look like sheep. You're just giving them little shadows, and you have a little field of sheep that are there. Okay, so we have trees, we have sheep. Now it's time. I'm going to erase my light source. We remember now, because we have some references that we chose our light source to be here. So I'm going to erase that. I don't want you guys to actually draw a sun in your sky like that, because that is kind of little kid drawing. If you draw a sun, you could have it somewhere in the sky. That's fine. Over one of the mountains or something, but it's not going to be like that with the rays coming down. Okay, so we're going to draw the sky. Now, I did some clouds on this one. If you want to put clouds in your sky, you can, or you can just do a blue sky. I'm going to just do a blue sky this time. But if you want to do clouds, you want to do it the way you did with the sheep. And you're going to use a white crayon, draw your clouds, and then color over it. This time I'm not going to do that, but that is an option for you. And I'm going to make my sky, find a crayon I have that has a good amount of, that's a point on it. My crayons I need to get a new box of crayons. Okay, I'm just going to use this cerulean for my sky. Any kind of blue. Oh, how's this blue looking? Any kind of blue will work. I'm going to go ahead and go with the cerulean. Okay, so when you're doing your sky, go ahead and first trace around the outsides of your mountains. Now, if you remember, just like with our flamingos, your sky needs to be, see how I'm turning my page to make it easier for me to maneuver my crayon the way I want it to. So I have that outlined, and then I'm going to start doing horizontal lines up from there. I did that little outline first so that I'm less likely to go over the lines. See, it gives me a little buffer there so I don't color into my mountains. I'm doing horizontal lines, nice and bold here. So don't be, I'm going to get that edge. Don't get too much crayon. Actually, I'll use my little edge here on my table. And then I'm going to keep doing these nice, firm, horizontal lines across my sky. Makes it for a really nice looking, smooth looking finish on your sky. Okay. Ooh, that's a nice blue sky in this landscape. Okay, next I'm going to go with what colors I want my mountains to be. And you can choose anything you'd like. I'm going to go with some muted, kind of muted colors, not have them way too bright. Let's do, actually I had a blue here. I might go with just a slightly different shade of blue or purple. Here's blue. I'm going to make one of my mountains blue. So with the mountains, remembering our light source. We know that our sun is here. So when I'm coloring my mountains, I want to kind of have my, and this goes for all of these hills. See how I'm kind of curving around the mountain? Still doing these lines that are all going in the same direction. And then as I move over to this side of the mountain, that's going to be the sun hitting it, and I go a little bit lighter with how hard I'm pushing down. And I'm going to just go ahead and go right over these little trees I did really lightly, go behind them. And then to finish it off, making it really look lighter on that side, I take my white crayon and do a little bit of white blending on that side. The white pencil does even better than the white crayon, but I'll show you that on the next one. But see how it looks a little lighter on this side than that side? Because the sun is hitting there. So I'm going to go with another color. We'll try this violet, I think, for this other mountain. It's going to go the same way. See, all my lines are going kind of in the same direction. I'm starting on the darker side, going nice and firm. And then as I move to this other side, a little bit lighter. A little bit lighter. The sun is hitting that side of the mountain, and sunlight is white light. And then I will take white and show you what the colored pencil looks like. Let me fill that in a little better with my purple there. I'm going to take this white, and you can see how nice the white pencil does with lightening that up. Sun's really hitting that top of that mountain nicely, or that side of the mountain. Okay, now I'm going to go to, it's actually even maybe a little, if it's a little lighter than you want it to be, you can go back over with your crayon and make it darker. It's great for just finding that balance that you're looking for. All right, I'm gonna move forward. So we're gonna move on. I may not finish this here in this video, but I will post it. I'll finish it when we're done. So this gives you an idea of how you do those mountains. You're gonna do these other hills that don't have fields on them the same way. Choose a color that you like. If you have a field, we'll do the one with the sheep on it. If you have a field that has trees, try to choose a color where the trees aren't going to just, like if I colored this hill the same color as green as the trees, you'd hardly see the trees. We want them to stand out. You're the artist. You want your work to shine. You want it to show. So we're going to do, we'll do some yellow. I'm going to do a few shades of yellow. So I have this kind of darker dandelion yellow. And then, I might have a bunch of dandelions in this box. See if I have some lighter yellows. Oh, and here is a regular yellow. And then I will go one lighter with a... You have anything lighter than yellow? Maybe not. Okay, we'll just do a dandelion. We'll do these two. And I'm going to have my darker yellow down here and on this side, going right around my little sheep. Aren't they cute? Right behind my trees. And behind these other trees. A little bit of this yellow. And then as I move up and over my mountain, I'm going to start coloring a little more lightly with this yellow. Not pushing quite as hard. So I'm about to blend this lighter yellow in with what I already have. So it looks like the same field, but the lighting kind of changes, so it gives you your eye just some variety to look at. Okay. And then those trees still stand out nicely with the yellow field behind it. See how nice that is when you just choose two colors and kind of blend them a little bit. It can really add some nice variety. And you can do that with any blues, greens, anything you have. Pinks. Pinks are a really good one. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do these fields to make them look like they actually have crops that are kind of standing up in the field. Oh, you can see I did color some yellow blending here too. Okay, we're going to make these this field. I'm going to make it the crops. What color do I want to make them? We'll make them green. If there's some kind of green crop, I'm going to get. So I'm going to get a dark green. I'm going to use a colored pencil this time. You can use a crayon. Get a nice dark green. Maybe even something a little... Okay, and then I'm going to start drawing my field. So right on top of these lines that I have, I'm going to draw a little oval like that. And then I'm going to continue drawing ovals in a little loop, like I'm making a coil. Do you see I'm making a little coil? Like it's just you're doing little circles like this. Then I'm going to move along that line, doing these little circles. And as I move toward the top of the hill, or the part that's furthest away from me, I'm going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. You see that? And so I'm going to put my little scratch page here. I can start my coil right here at the end. Little coils, little squiggles, and they're going to come straight back and get smaller and smaller as they go. So you're going to do that. This one will take the longest because it's the biggest hill, but you can do this with different colors on all of your hills like this. They don't all have to, so this one takes a little longer because it's closer, but I'll show you an example with these other ones. We're going to do a crop that's kind of a golden crop on this. And I'm going to do it right along here. I'm going to do it right along that line this time because this is a lighter color, and that can help make my shadow I'm going to be needing later. So it's almost just like it doesn't have to take as long because you're not doing as big of little loops. You see how quickly that goes? Doing your little crops along those lines you drew. And then, once you have those done, you're going to take your shadow color that you've been using, your black or dark gray, and you're going to just kind of do a little shadow right along the edge. It's again kind of a little squiggle, little bit of a squiggle loop. Because you have that sun hitting your crops and they are casting a little shadow underneath them because they are standing up off the ground. And so I'll finish those out, and then once they're finished, I'll just finish them really quick here. Once they're finished, then we'll choose a color to go between them. Finish these out really quick here so we can see that you guys can see what this final finished hill ends up looking like. Okay, and then I'll do my shadows really quick on these crops. Shadows on the crops. Make sure they're all on the side that's opposite from where your sun is. And then I'm going to choose a color to go between them. And I'm going to go with something I have in my crayon box so that it will color quickly. Let's do a scarlet. So I'm going to take this kind of reddish orange color, and I'm going to go between these Now if you want to do any blending here, this is a good place to do some. So you could just go through and get the scarlet or whatever color you choose filled in. You can go back with another color and add a little bit of blending. You'll see it on these ones that I did. You can see how the color changes just a little bit. It gets a little lighter as it moves away, and that can be a fun thing to do. I can do that a little bit here. First I'm going to fill in, you can do it where you just do a part way up and then you change colors, like you're doing a blended kind of subtle value rainbow. But another way to do it is just to fill it all the way in and then come back with a different color, which is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this orange and go right on top of the scarlet to add a little variety. So it kind of looks like the sun or something is changing the color to a little bit of the ground around there. Okay, and then I'll go through and I'm going to choose different colors for each of these. Now for these rows that are like this, you can just fill those in like this, where you just have stripes and it looks like maybe all the crops are just different color, you know, or you just have rows of different crops, or you can do them like this where they look like they're standing up and you have a little shadow that's on this side of you or wherever. So like for this one, I would think the shadows, if I did a crop back here, if I did a crop back here like this, it was some kind of a, you know, there could be grapevines. So if I did some crops that are along these rows, I would want my shadow to be underneath them, I think. Because that's what we would, first of all, that's what we'd see. We wouldn't see the other side. And it will give them the appearance of standing up. Okay, friends, I'm going to finish this one after I push stop on the video. But your final product from there is just filling in the way that I've shown. And you will have a finished Tuscan landscape. Don't forget to sign it at the bottom. You want to be proud of your work. So I'll put my initials. Uh-oh, I broke my lead. Put my initials here. So put your initials. You can be proud of your work. I'm excited to see these. Take your time on these. If this is something that you start feeling like you're rushing along, set it down and come back to it another time. Take your time. So if you don't have to finish it in one sitting. I know it's a lot of coloring, but I'm excited to see how these turn out. And this is our only lesson this week. So yeah, get going on it, and I will look forward to seeing your finished Tuscan landscapes.